Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Our mission today, well, it's simple, but maybe a little terrifying. We're basically staging an intervention with that device we all carry. We're talking about the smartphone and, that really complicated, conflicted relationship we seem to have with it.
It really is a paradox, isn't it? Our sources, they frame this whole thing as a breakup.
A breakup, okay.
Yeah, because we kind of need to figure out why this amazing tool, I mean, it's your camera, your music, your contacts, it solves trivia bets instantly. Why it so often leaves us feeling, well, busy but not really effective.
Right, or connected but somehow still lonely.
Exactly. So the mission for this deep dive is really to uncover the mechanics behind that, the behavioral stuff, and figure out who's actually in charge here, us or the phone.
And just to be clear, this isn't about ditching technology altogether.
Not at all.
It's about realizing the problem isn't really the phone itself. It's this specific, maybe even addictive relationship we've fallen into. But hang on, isn't addictive a bit strong? I mean, it's just a tool, right? Aren't we responsible for how we use it?
Well, that's the common thinking, but the data suggests something else is going on. And looking at the numbers, if this was a marriage you'd be calling a therapist, like yesterday, let's start with just how compulsive this is. Consider this the wake-up call section.
Okay, lay it on us. Hit us with it.
Right. So on average, Americans check their phones about 47 times a day.
27, okay.
But wait, if you're in that 18 to 24 age group, that number jumps way up. It's like 82 times daily.
82.
Yeah. Now, multiply that across the whole population. You're looking at over 9 billion phone checks every single day.
9 billion. Whoa, let's just pause on that for a sec. 9 billion little moments where our attention just shifts. That means collectively we're spending lifetimes each day just checking screens instead of, being present.
And it adds up incredibly fast. Our sources calculated we spend on average over 4 hours a day glued to our phones.
4 hours.
4 hours. Do the math on that. That's 56 full days every year just staring at that little screen.
56 days. Wow. That's almost 2 months of the year.
And the compulsion, it kicks in almost immediately. Nearly 80% of Americans check their phones within half an hour of waking up.
First thing in the morning? Yep, sounds familiar.
Half of us even check them in the middle of the night. And get this, if you need the ultimate proof of how powerful this pull is, nearly 1 in 10 American adults admits to checking their phone during sex.
No. Really? Okay, wow. If that doesn't show how deep this compulsion runs, I honestly don't know what does. That's just automatic behavior at a whole other level.
And it's not just a vague feeling. There's actually a clinical way to measure it. Dr. David Greenfield, he developed something called the smartphone compulsion test. It's 15 questions, and if you score 5 or more, your use is officially leaning towards problematic.
And what's really interesting, and I think everyone listening might relate to this, is the sources point out that most people taking this test, they score high enough to maybe qualify for a psychiatric evaluation.
Which is startling.
Yeah. But it suggests the issue isn't that we've all suddenly lost our willpower. It points to something bigger, something maybe engineered into the tech itself.
Exactly. And it's not just mental strain. This habit, it shows up physically, too. We're seeing more repetitive strain injuries, things like texting thumb, text neck, even cell phone elbow.
Seriously, cell phone elbow.
Oh, it's a real thing. And there's this internal conflict, too. Like 2/3 of Americans say, yeah, unplugging sometimes would be good for my mental health.
We know it would be good.
Right, we know it. But barely 1/4 of us actually manage to do it.
Okay, so we know it costs us time, focus, maybe even our physical health. We know it feels compulsive. We often want to stop, but we find it incredibly hard. So this leads us to the real core of this deep dive.
Yeah.
How exactly are these things designed to hook us?
Okay, so the key thing to grasp is that smartphones are fundamentally different from older tech. Think telegraph, radio, even TV.
How so?
Well, those are tools you use for a specific purpose, then put away. Smartphones, they are specifically, deliberately engineered for engagement.
Engineered for engagement and designed to addict. I remember reading about Tristan Harris, the former Google guy.
The design ethicist, yeah.
He talks about this, like, your old rotary phone didn't have thousands of engineers constantly tweaking it to make it more persuasive, more habit-forming.
Exactly. Smartphones do. They use behavioral design based on brain chemistry.
They're basically hacking our brains.
That's a good way to put it. Pure and simple. And the main chemical they're leveraging is dopamine.
Ah, dopamine. The pleasure chemical.
Well, that's the common misconception. It's not just about pleasure, it's more about anticipation. Dopamine makes us crave the phone, anticipating some kind of reward. And that reward could be something positive, like a like or a message, or it could just be relief from boredom, relief from anxiety.
And one of the sneakiest design tricks, I think, is getting rid of stopping cues.
Absolutely crucial.
Like when you read a book, you eventually hit the last page. That's the natural stop. But apps, especially those endless scrolling feeds on social media,
they're designed without stopping cues, on purpose, which is why it's so easy to just lose an hour without even realizing it. Binging becomes the default.
and they make it even more addictive by messing with rewards.
Right.
Using that slot machine idea.
Yes. Intermittent reinforcement, that's the technical term. The basic idea is that unpredictable rewards are way more addictive than predictable ones.
Pulling my phone out of my pocket. It's literally like pulling the lever on a slot machine. What notification did I get? A text. An email. Nothing.
That uncertainty is precisely what keeps you coming back. It's incredibly powerful.
And designers manipulate the timing of those rewards.
Oh, absolutely. The sources mention Instagram, for example. Apparently, they would sometimes deliberately hold back, showing you new likes. They wouldn't show them instantly.
Wait, they hold back likes? That feels really manipulative. Why do that?
It's all calculated. By bunching them up and delivering them in a sudden burst, maybe right when you were thinking of closing the app, it gives you a bigger dopamine hit. It makes the reward feel more significant, discouraging you from leaving and strengthening that checking habit. We're kind of like lab rats, pushing the lever, hoping for a treat.
Wow. So they're playing on basic human psychology.
Yeah.
We love novelty, right? We're novelty junkies.
Exactly. And the phone is a novelty fire hose. Constant new information, switching between apps, endless feeds.
And the other big one, they use our anxiety against us. That fear of missing out. FOMO.
Oh, FOMO is a huge driver. Notifications are like little FOMO triggers. They spray it at you constantly. And then if you try to put the phone down, your brain might release cortisol, the stress hormone. You feel a bit anxious, uncomfortable.
Yeah, the quickest way to relieve that anxiety.
Check the phone again, boom. The addictive loop is reinforced,
Right.
just like the designers intended.
Okay, so if they're intentionally hacking our brains, weaponizing anxiety, what's the real damage here? It feels like the biggest victim isn't just our time, it's our ability to actually pay attention.
Let's unpack that, because we often tell ourselves, oh, I'm good at multitasking, right? Handling emails, texts, work.
Yeah, I'm a great multitasker. Or so I thought.
Well, the sources are pretty clear. Multitasking, in the way we think about it, is basically a myth. Our brains physically can't focus on two demanding things simultaneously.
So what are we actually doing?
We're task switching, rapidly shifting our attention back and forth.
And that switching,
Yeah.
it takes a toll.
A huge toll. It's mentally exhausting and really inefficient. Research suggests it can take up to like 25 minutes to get back into a state of deep focus after just a small interruption, like a quick notification check.
25 minutes, it's staggering.
There was this Stanford research led by Clifford Nass. It was kind of shocking. They found that people who identified as heavy multitaskers, they were actually terrible at filtering out irrelevant stuff and switching tasks efficiently.
So the people who think they're best at it are actually the worst.
Pretty much. And worse, they thought they were great at it. They'd essentially trained their brains to be distractible, degrading their ability to focus.
And this constant distraction, this inefficiency, it serves someone else's agenda, doesn't it? The real customers of many platforms.
Exactly. The advertisers. It comes back to the attention economy. On many platforms, especially social media, you are not the customer.
Right, the advertisers are the customers.
And what's being sold? Your attention. Our eyeballs, our clicks, our time.
Global ad spending on social media was already massive years ago, like tens of billions. So every minute we spend scrolling.
Is the minute you're spending your attention making money for tech companies and advertisers, you're spending your most limited, valuable resource, your focus, essentially working for them.
And doing this for hours every day.
Yeah.
It must be literally changing our brains. Neuroplasticity.
Absolutely. Think about the London cab driver study. Memorizing the knowledge, all those streets, physically changed their brains, enlarging the hippocampus for spatial memory.
Okay, so if you spend 4 hours a day interacting with your phone in this specific, distracted way, you are training your brain. But you're training it to skim, to jump around, to crave novelty.
One source called it an intensely focused state of distraction, which sounds about right.
It weakens our ability to engage in deep reading or complex thought because the brain gets used to constantly making micro decisions. Should I click this? What's that notification? It fragments our attention.
You mentioned schemas earlier. Can you explain that simply? Like, how does skimming affect building those mental filing cabinets?
Right. Think of schemas as organized knowledge structures in your brain. When you read deeply or learn something complex, you're carefully building and connecting these structures, like creating detailed, cross-referenced files. Skimming, always chasing the next link or notification. It's like just shoving loose papers randomly into the cabinet. You don't build those strong connections needed for deep understanding and long-term memory.
And beyond cognition, the emotional cost is huge too, isn't it? We hear a lot about social media and happiness. Yeah, the link is pretty consistent in research. Higher social media use is often associated with lower reported happiness and life satisfaction. One Harvard Business Review piece even suggested a causal link. More engagement often correlates with worse mental health outcomes.
And the impact on younger generations seems particularly worrying.
It really does. Psychologist Jean Twenge's work on IGN is quite sobering. She argues that since smartphones became ubiquitous, teenagers are physically safer, in some ways less driving, fewer parties maybe, but they're facing a significant mental health crisis.
Higher rates of depression, anxiety, suicide.
Exactly. Her description is stark. They are often on their phone, in their room, alone, and often distressed.
That's just heartbreaking. The very tools meant to connect us might be isolating a generation, fueling anxiety, and maybe even eroding their ability to think deeply. Okay, we get it. The cost is high, the manipulation is real. We need the how-to. How do we actually do the breakup without becoming a hermit?
Right, the solution. And the foundation, according to the sources, isn't just about restriction, it's about awareness. It starts with mindfulness.
Mindfulness. Okay, what does that mean in this context?
It's basically about seeing what's happening more clearly. Recognizing the emotional triggers that urge to check your phone isn't just random, it's often tied to wanting to feel better or avoid feeling bad, like boredom or anxiety.
So noticing that impulse, that craving, as just a sensation or a thought, not a command.
Exactly. And the key technique is learning to, as they put it, ride out the wave. When you feel that urge to grab your phone, you pause. You just observe the feeling, notice where you feel it in your body, notice the thoughts around it.
Without judging it, without immediately giving in.
Right. You just watch it, and often you'll find the craving crests and then fades on its own. You're teaching your brain that you don't need that instant digital fix.
Okay, that's the internal skill. What about practical steps?
The plan starts with what the sources call a technology triage. Step 1. Honestly track your usage for a day. See the real numbers, not just your guess.
That could be painful.
Maybe, but necessary. Then you ask the big question that guides the whole process. What do I actually want to pay attention to in my life?
And if an app isn't serving that purpose?
It goes, or at least its prominence is drastically reduced.
Okay, triage done. Then it's about building new habits, creating friction, like speed bumps for your thumbs.
Good analogy, yes. Deleting social media apps is a big one. You can still check via a web browser on your phone, but it's clunkier, less automatic. It forces a moment of intention.
Breaking that mindless reflex. What else?
Notifications. Turn almost all of them off. They are the engine of the Pavlovian response loop. Keep alerts for actual people trying to reach you directly, calls, maybe messages from key contacts.
But all the app updates, news alerts, social media pings.
Silence them. They're designed to pull you back in constantly.
And then there are physical boundaries, right?
Yeah.
No phone zones.
Absolutely critical. The bedroom is the big one. If your phone is your alarm clock, you're basically guaranteeing it's the first thing you interact with every single morning.
Starting that cycle all over again.
Exactly. Buy a cheap alarm clock.
Yeah.
Seriously. And change where you charge your phone overnight. Put it somewhere inconvenient, not right by the bed or desk. Make checking it less automatic, more deliberate.
The sources also mention something called a fast, like PHAST.
Yeah, a short phone fast. Think of it like intermittent fasting for your brain, taking regular intentional breaks from your phone. Maybe it's 30 minutes, maybe it's half a day on the weekend.
What's the point of that?
It does two things. One, it proves to you that you're in control, not the device. Two, it gives your brain a chance to reset, to recover some of that deeper focus capacity that gets eroded by constant switching.
So this whole breakup, it's really about shifting from automatic, compulsive use to conscious, intentional use.
Precisely. The goal is achieved when the phone stops being the boss, dictating your attention and anxiety, and becomes what it was always supposed to be. A tool that serves your goals when you choose to use it.
And if you manage that, if you reclaim even some of those 4 hours a day, That's 56 days a year back.
Think what you could do with that time. Time for flow states, for creativity, for reading actual books, for undistracted conversations, for real connection.
Which brings us back to maybe the most profound point in the sources. You only experience what you pay attention to. And you only remember what you pay attention to. Your life is the sum of what you focus on.
It's a powerful thought.
It really is. So if these phones are so expertly designed to capture and hold our attention, and our life is fundamentally built from that attention,
Ooh.
well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What important moments, what quiet insights, what real connections are you maybe letting slip by while you're just waiting for that next little digital hit, that next notification? Maybe the real question to leave you with is, what are you going to actively choose to pay attention to next?